Feature Friday.
The freshest.
Dizz, you gotta get on Korean R&B, dog. I'm telling you,
God.
it's so good.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a whole other conversation because we have done like quite a bit of K RNB on our channel, but then it's like we love it, but we also have this little, maybe for him and I in particular, this little element of like, this is black music. Like this is 100% taking from African American like black culture.
Well, I mean, you know what? I feel like I'm not gonna get too deep into this aspect of it, but I know that people a lot of times are very triggered when you talk about appropriation, when you talk about these things, particularly in the K-pop universe. Like people are very mad. Like I remember on one of our Reverse Reacts episode, it was barely mentioned. I think we were just like, oh, we saw a lot of black culture. We saw Korean artists with dreadlocks, like, and we saw Korean artists like with
Kai in the dude.
It wasn't that one specifically. It was earlier than that, but it was just very like just the swag, the everything. I'm like I'm literally watching. This is black artists, so we were just like hashtag black culture, and that's not wrong to say. The same thing if you saw a black artist like remember Cisco back in the day. Everything was Enter the Dragon, and everything was very Asian inspired. That is Asian culture. Yeah. So it's not wrong to say it, but a lot of people get very mad when you say things like that. And I remember like some of the comments, like I don't read comments anymore, but I remember like it was very, very aggressive. And so I try not to talk about it too much, but one thing that does bother me is, and it's not just with K-pop, it's just in general, knowing how black people are viewed in this world in a lot of ways, and people having no problem taking the culture. It's the culture that they live for. It gives them the most life. It's always leading the charge in terms of what's popular, what is trendy. Look at what's happening on TikTok right now, right? With the black creators going on strike because their content, their work is being appropriated and stolen for the most part by white creators who are then getting the biggest opportunities. And these black creators are just sitting still in their house in wherever they're from while these next girls are buying big mansions and on this TV show and this endorsement deal and whatever. And that's not new. This has happened forever. So for me, it's hard sometimes to watch some of these K-pop videos and seeing the very clear black culture, and nobody wants to actually acknowledge that it is that. So I struggle sometimes. Don't get me wrong. It's dope, and I appreciate so many things about it. But there is a little bit of a struggle.
Again, that moral compass.
Yeah.
Do you not find though that, like, for example, we isn't it as music and as art? And I mean, I'm sure perhaps where you find and draw inspiration from different places. Do you not find that perhaps it's so hard to sort of not draw inspiration from the amazingness of, for example, hip hop, which is it's essentially like core and interlaced with black culture. But do you not find it's difficult not to draw inspiration from different parts of the world?
Yeah.
Definitely. And then I think it's a great thing when cultures can appreciate other cultures, and if you're that inspired that you start to infuse it into what you do, I think that's a beautiful thing. And I have no issue with that. The issue that I have with it is when you take it and then you don't acknowledge where it came from, or you pretend that it's just we made this up. It's like, no, you didn't. or especially when you have black songwriters who write a lot of these K-pop songs, and then they have to go on Twitter and beg their audience to contact the label to say they haven't paid me and I don't know what else to do. So can y'all help me mention this record label in Korea to get my coin? Meanwhile, the artist is out there with that black written song making all the money. You know what I mean? So it's not the merging of cultures. I think that's beautiful. It's when we can't without getting triggered, acknowledge just where it came from.
I think given your point, I think it comes from given the respected credit, giving credit when credit's due type thing.
Yeah.
And I understand that.
And
part.
it's also so hard, right? Because like culture and music have always been interlinked,
hand in hand.
So it's
actually, music is a representation of culture.
Music is a representation of people, and
human,
people are cultures. So it's very difficult to. So there's certainly, I can understand why you would feel like this, because especially when it's such a genre that has, dude, it's taking over the planet, you know,
Yeah.
hip hop and just black culture in general. It's really just taking over the planet. And I think something very interesting actually has happened lately. It's that, you know, hip hop wasn't really mainstream as it is now since the last, you know, it's been maybe 15, 17 years, you know, where most number ones all of a sudden we're like, you know, rap artists and it's like, hold on a second, rap took over the planet and no one even noticed. And now everyone, you know, the number one genre in the planet right now, I'd reckon is probably still rap, followed closely by pop. So it's certainly, I can't feel why you feel like that, because then it's sort of like it gets merged into convoluted and it loses its core meaning.
Of course.
And it you know, where do you stop? Where do you draw the line?